Okay, let's be real for a second. In your IELTS speaking test, do you ever catch yourself saying, for example, and then, for example again, and maybe one more time for good measure? Yeah? If you're nodding along, then you are in exactly the right place.
Today, we're going to dive into a brilliant guide that's all about how to give examples that sound fluent, natural, and get you those high scores in the IELTS speaking exam.
Welcome to The Explainer by IELTS Guide Phil on YouTube. Everything we're talking about today comes straight from the experts over there. You know, they're all about helping you absolutely ace that exam so you can unlock those amazing global opportunities. All right, let's get right into it.
All right, first things first, let's talk about what we'll call the for example trap. You know, it seems like such a small thing, right? But believe it or not, using that one little phrase over and over can seriously hold you back from getting that high band score you're working so hard for.
And this is a big point from IELTS Guide Phil. See, the problem is, when an examiner hears that repetition, it just screams limited range of language. So, what's the big takeaway? If you want to score higher, you've got to show off your linguistic variety, your sophistication. It's that simple.
So the big question is, how do we escape this trap? Well, it's time to load up your linguistic toolbox with some really powerful alternatives that are going to make you sound like an absolute pro.
And what's so great about these is how simple but effective they are. I mean, instead of the old, for example, you could try something like, take X for example, or how about, a case in point is. Even something conversational like, let's say, or imagine that works wonders. These are game changers, really. They instantly mix up your sentence structure and make what you're saying so much more engaging.
Okay, but hold on. It's not just about swapping out a few phrases. If you really want to elevate your score, you have to start weaving in some more advanced grammar. This, right here, is where you go from good to great and really impress the examiner, showing them you have a true command of English. And IELTS Guide Phil points to 4 key areas here. We're talking about conditionals, inversions, cleft sentences, and relative clauses. Now, I know those might sound a little intimidating, but don't worry. We're going to break down exactly what they are and how to use them. Let's start with conditionals. You see the example right there. Using those if sentences lets you talk about possibilities, about hypothetical situations, and this is so much more than just a grammar trick. It shows the examiner that you can think logically and connect complex ideas. It's a huge plus.
Next up, inversions. Okay, this one is definitely a high-level skill, but it's so impressive. By flipping the usual sentence order, like not only does IELTS require, you create this super formal, really sophisticated tone. It's a guaranteed way to make the examiner's ears perk up, because, let's face it, it's not how most people talk every day.
Then you've got cleft sentences. These are just fantastic for adding emphasis. When you start a sentence with what, like in the example, you're basically shining a spotlight on the most important part of your message. It shows the examiner you have amazing control over how you communicate.
And last but not least, relative clauses. Using words like which or who. This is the secret sauce for connecting your ideas smoothly. It lets you pack way more information into a single, flowing sentence, and you totally avoid that short, choppy feeling. And like IELTS Guide Phil says, this is a true sign of fluency.
All right, so we've covered the phrases, we've covered the grammar, now for the really fun part. Let's see what all of this looks like in action. We're going to put a basic, maybe band 5 or 6 answer right up against an advanced, band 7 to 9 answer. You'll see the difference immediately.
Just listen to this. On the one hand, you have the basic answer, and look, it's fine, it gets the point across, but it's simple. Now, check out the advanced answer. Wow, it just brilliantly weaves everything together. It kicks off with one of our new phrases, take, for example, then bam, it hits you with a cleft sentence for emphasis. What makes it challenging is, right after that, you see a smooth relative clause with which hardly allows them, and it wraps up with a super powerful inversion. Not only does this effect, see? It's the exact same idea, but the delivery is just on another level. So much more skill.
And the best part? You can totally do this too. I promise. But it's not going to happen by magic. It all comes down to practice. So right now, it's your turn to put what you've learned into action.
So here's a little challenge for you from IELTS Guide Phil. Pick a classic IELTS topic, like technology, travel, health, whatever you like, and try to build your own band 7+ response. Make sure you use one of those new phrases and try to throw in a conditional or a relative clause. Go on, you can pause this explainer and give it a shot right now. And hey,
If you want to go even deeper on all these strategies, you should definitely check out the original full blog post that this whole explainer is based on. You can find it over at IELTSGuidePhil.com.
And of course, for more awesome tips and explainers just like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the IELTS Guide Phil YouTube channel. There's new stuff coming out all the time.
You can also join the IELTS Guide Phil Facebook community. It's a really supportive place to practice and connect with other people who are on the exact same journey as you.
Don't worry about searching around. All the links for everything we've mentioned are right there in the YouTube description below.
And finally, if you're feeling ready to get some personalized feedback and really take your skills to the next level, you should know that IELTS Guide Phil offers an online writing and speaking coaching service. If you want to learn more about that, just drop a comment below. Thanks so much for tuning in.